Welcome back. I'm still working to get this bike completed and all the rust off. And it looks like the best way to do that is to maybe use a sandblaster. So here's that old Honda CL90 frame. And I've been working on this motorcycle for a while now. Maybe not consistently, but as time allows itself. And I got to the point where I need to start stripping a lot of this rust, stripping this paint, so that way I can kind of do my own thing with it. If you haven't seen the other videos now of me just scraping rust off of parts, I didn't want to do something like that on this. That was going to take way too long, and honestly, I don't think I'd ever be able to actually do a sufficient enough job doing all of that by hand. So I went to Harbor Freight yesterday, which again is not a sponsor of this video. Missed your opportunity. And I picked up this Central Machinery sandblaster. It's 10 cubic feet per minute at 90 PSI. It's a smaller sandblaster. They had another portable type for like, I think it was like $35. But I thought I want something a little bit bigger and maybe more capable of jobs in the future. So I picked this guy up. So let's go ahead and unbox it, and I'll show you guys how I intend to use it. All right, let's get this thing opened up. I'm looking forward to not taking a wire brush to this frame. And I haven't really used a sandblaster before, so we've got a little bit of a learning curve, I'm sure. Pull this out. Have our instructions here. A bag full of components. Yes, Teflon tape. I ran out yesterday. It's a pressure gauge, I presume. Yes. And looks like a couple hoses, the media funnel, and I see some dirt or something in the bottom. Maybe they gave me a tiny bit of aluminum oxide or something with this thing. Oh, this is my bowl and regulator, attached regulator. It's like an aluminum cast. The bowl on the inside feels a little cheap, but what do you expect? It's Harbor Freight, guys. Okay, what else we got? There is my hose. This is probably the actual discharge hose. It's gonna be attached to the sandblast nozzle. Little filler here. And lastly, okay, big old tank. It's really interesting that this thing has aluminum oxide already in the bottom of this tank. And that, to me, that means one of two things. Here, I'll just see if, I don't know if you guys can see this. Either someone used it and took it back, or they actually really test these things at the factory. Oh yeah, look, so it had to be returned. Look at the tape here. Someone literally bought this thing, used it for a job, and then took it back. They went through a lot of trouble. Hopefully, I'm not the guy that gets screwed and this thing has all the pieces to it, because I'm gonna be pissed if it doesn't. All right, dumping out all the regulators, hoses, blah, 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 blah. All the fittings. We're gonna put this bad boy right here. Apparently the last guy didn't feel like he needed to read the instructions. Let's see. Do not use sand. Abrasive blasting with sand contains crystalline silica. Can cause silicosis, a severe lung disease.
To reduce crystalline silica exposures in the workplace, prevent silicosis and silicosis-related deaths.
Read all that stuff. All right, so these are the images here for our setup, which I'm more of a pictures guy. And I think I'm going to start just the way it instructs us to do so. And that is put the legs on. The use of cotter pins to secure these legs here. So let's get to cottering. Last but not least. Okay, got that one on stand now. Thread the safety valve into the hole at the top of the tank. So here, safety valve. Oh, there it is. Safety valve. Pop, pop, pop. Get our Teflon tape and wrap that. And whenever you wrap Teflon, you always want to wrap in the direction opposite of how it's going to thread. So in this scenario, if we're tightening like this way. Totally wrapped it the wrong direction. going to screw. So if it's going to screw in this way, wrap it like this. Let's go ahead and tighten this bad boy up. There we go. I think that's good. Now it's time to assemble the regulator and valve. All right, so according to our instructions here, we have our pressure regulator assembly, and we have our first nipple, which is number 9, and it looks like it's going to go like this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just go ahead and just dry fit these things, because I don't want to start putting things together and then it's completely incorrect. So we're going to have that there, and it looks to me, I can't tell the direction that this is supposed to go.
Incoming message from the big giant head.
Hey guys, the big giant head!
FYI, if you're trying to figure out which way this goes, your shutoff is going to be on the direction of the air that's going into the sandblaster. So that's indicated by this arrow. Looks like this is going to go into here. From there, you have what looks like this fitting, I believe. We got some more fittings and valves down here. That's going to be here, like that. And then this will be here. This will be here, like so. One of these valves will be here for a shut off there, like that. Got another nipple in the bottom. Will be screwed into the top, like so. Gonna go like this. And then number 10 is the air inlet. All right, so this is what I got. Who knows if it's right, but we're gonna find out.
Incoming from the big giant head. Warning! Warning!
Yep, I messed up right there. All right, so this guy is supposed to be here. So we have the air inlet here, which is number 10. That's the valve, which is 11. We have a nipple here, which is number 9, and a nipple here, which is number 9. We have our number 8, which is the T connector, it's called, with our threaded pipe in the top fitting, gauge in the top, another shutoff valve here, which is 11A, and then the bottom, which is a threaded nipple. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and probably take this over to the vise and Teflon all of these fittings and go ahead and start tightening it. I'll throw this on a time lapse for you guys. That's it, I guess. All right, now that we have this bad boy all put together, we're gonna go ahead and thread this into the tank, apparently. All right, got that on. Next steps here. So we have another nipple, another valve, and an inlet like that. See, assemble the nozzle assembly. All right, out of the way for now, little guy. Looking good, looking good. All right, now we got another one of these valves. We have another one of these nipples. Yep, I messed up right there. Dang. All right, so this guy is supposed to be here. And unfortunately, I put the wrong one on. So I'm gonna have to unscrew that, get that off, and put this one on. Not a big deal, but still, don't wanna make mistakes. So if it's like that, this is going to be like this. Okay, nice and snug. Nipple connector, number 9. Thread the hose connector. I should have another nipple that goes here. Got this hose barb. Maybe this is what it wants? Okay, I got it now. So if you look right here, and that will go towards the hose, and this will go towards the flare and the nozzle tip. So, all right, we're okay. Gotta figure out how to make this connection work because I don't have enough slack. Continue going that way. This thing only screws in one way. These threads are only tapped one way. So I need to loosen maybe one of these other things in order to get these to line up correctly so it's got enough space or slack in this hose to connect. Looks good to me. Nice. All right, now we got that rectified. Let's go ahead, loosen this, put some threads on there. All right, nice and snug. Last but not least, time to put this hose on. I got my hose in different area codes. Area codes. Zip ties, man. Central Machinery zip ties. Good God. Really dull. All right, so there's my hose. And I'm gonna throw on this little clampy clamp. Let's see how tight this thing is. It ain't too bad. There we go. Nice and tight. Come back about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. Don't want to be right on the edge. Right there. That's where we want to be. Get it nice and snug as a bug in a rug. Once you get to the point where it looks like the rubber's trying to come out, I think you're good. Same as before. Let's throw the clamp on. You definitely want to tighten this one probably so that way it's not where the excess when it comes out the back is going to cut your finger or something when you're trying to use this thing. So there we go. Interestingly enough, one of the things they don't give you is a air adapter, which I get it. They probably can't ensure it's going to be the right size for your hose, so they make sure to not supply one at all. And that's okay. I think as long as people know that in advance, it's not a problem, but you don't have some spare fittings laying around, then you might be a little upset. Or you're at least going to be taking another trip to Harbor Freight to grab you some fittings. So that was it. I'd say probably it took about an hour and a half or so. If you've never put something together like this before, obviously it's going to take you a little bit longer. I messed up a couple times along the way, but hopefully maybe this video will help you guys learn to not screw up where I screwed up. Overall, not a big deal. So good job, Harbor Freight and Central Machinery. So let's go ahead and see if we can get this thing attached to the air compressor and start removing some rust from this old motorcycle frame. All right, so just got that air line hooked up and now we're heading over to the air compressor. So I just got this air compressor yesterday. My other one broke. It literally snapped one of the alloy cast pieces and there was no way to fix it. Cobalt, appreciate you. So this is a 20-gallon McGraw and this is a 135 PSI max, I believe, but looking forward to using this, and this is what I plan to run the sandblaster on. So here's the media I intend to use. This is a Arm & Hammer brand aluminum oxide media, and this is going to be what I use to strip the paint and the rust off of this old 1967 CL90 Honda motorcycle frame. Originally, I was considering buying some sort of booth or similar system, but honestly, I thought maybe I didn't need that because I've got all these old like tough boxes and stuff lying around. And I was like, what if I just used one of these tough boxes as like a way to capture the media to prevent it from escaping and, you know, just shooting everywhere. So I think that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to get that motorcycle frame, stick it in one of the tough boxes, and use that to actually be like my booth type system. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. There we go. Put that there. And this old tough box should be perfect. Make sure you don't fill it more than 3/4. I'm not usually a stickler for safety, but you really don't want to mess around with this stuff. So I'd highly suggest the use of goggles and breathing protection to at least protect your eyes and protect your lungs. probably spent the last maybe hour to hour and a half sandblasting, and I have learned a few things about this Central Machinery sandblaster. And let me go ahead and tell you guys what I found out. So here are the results. So there was a lot of rust areas, a lot of buildup. I don't know if you guys remember, but this side was completely blue before I got started. The intent was not to really strip off the paint. The intent was really just to go after some of these really thick rust areas. And for the most part, it got a lot of that stuff off. However, you know, it didn't really get into the real damaged bare material, but that surface rust, it definitely got off the surface rust, and it definitely tried pulling off that paint as well. So if you need something that's going to strip paint, this is definitely going to do a really good job based off of what type of media you have in the sandblaster. So one thing I did learn after I got started, and that's the fact that even though the instruction manual says to open all valves and use this as a throttle, I don't know if that's the best way to use this piece of equipment. And the reason why is because whenever I did do it in that way, I found that just so much media was shooting through the tip, even with the smallest tip, that I wasn't able to achieve the pressure I needed to really remove the paint or the rust. So what I ended up doing is that this valve here, right there, is the actual valve that controls the media. So if you slightly crack that and you don't open it fully, it regulates the volume of media that can actually enter the hose. So that way you have a different ratio of air to abrasive material, and you're able to achieve much higher pressures. So overall, I think this is what we needed for this particular project. One thing I wanted to show you guys was in the process of using the sandblaster, you probably saw me smacking the side of it probably several times. So part of that was, I believe, based on moisture from the air compressor I was using, potentially making its way into the sandblast media. So for the most part, it does have a catch to get this moisture, and I'd like to show you guys what that looks like after completing it. And as you can see, it is full of water. A lot of water. So it's good that it has this, because your air compressor, based on the humidity outside and the compression of the air, it's going to cause moisture to enter into the air. Ultimately, you're not going to be able to help that. So final thoughts, I think this thing does exactly what it should do. It does a great job. You definitely want to make sure that you are wearing eye protection, you're wearing breathing protection, that your air compressor is large enough to operate this thing. I could imagine a smaller air compressor. Like I said, I've got a 20 gallon. If you have a smaller, like a 10 or less, I think you're gonna have a hard time using something like this. If not, you're gonna have a lot of kind of work cycles, work 1 minute, off, you know, maybe 2 minutes until it recharges. But I think you could still get it done. But otherwise, I think this is a good piece of equipment. I'm glad I spent the money, and I'd recommend it to you guys. So thanks for watching. Stick around and watch me finally finish this motorcycle. Been working on it for a while. I've got a series. If you guys like this type of content, subscribe, and see you guys on the next one. Dell does it all. See you.